Good morning, everyone. Can you hear us?
I hear you.
Oh, it's behind.
You guys on Zoom, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can't hear us?
Is the volume on? Thanks, Michael.
Can you hear us now?
Now I can hear you, yep. You guys can see the screen?
Yep.
You betcha.
So you guys have me for half the day and then Britt's gonna come in and wrap it up. So before we get started, any questions or anything from yesterday or before we get started? So we'll recap real quick, growing your business, lead generating for buyers and sellers. Any questions on lead generating for buyers and sellers? Should we call some FISBOs this morning? Don't know, volunteer at once now. So as we talk about your big life and your goals, who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. What's that mean to you?
I would say, like, if you don't, I mean, it kind of goes back to like the real estate agent book, where if you like set your goals not super high, like not like way beyond what you think you can do, then you're only going to accomplish,
Achievable goals?
Yeah. Like if you only set just achievable goals, but not goals that make you want to work harder, then you're only going to just achieve like the minimum.
Why is it important to set goals?
I would say it gives you somewhere to look forward to. I know, like for me personally, with just all the things I've been through in my past, having my goals of like graduating college and like graduating with a really high GPA, like that is what like got me through everything that I had like been through. Whereas with like some people, it might have like held them back, but I just kept looking forward because I had these big goals.
Hold you accountable.
Yeah, and that too.
So do your goals hold you accountable?
Well, you're holding yourself accountable to achieve your goals because you have those in your mindset.
What about having an accountability partner? Do you find it helpful to have somebody else hold you accountable?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a story where this agent set a goal for himself and he came home and he told his family that if he sold this many homes, family gets to go to Disney World. So every day he'd come home, his kids were like, "You sell a house today?"
They're keeping tally for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually yesterday I just set this goal where instead of waiting like 3 years of saving money to buy a house, I'm like, you know what? I think like a year from now, my boyfriend and I can buy a house, because if I just like my goal is to make 130,000, like that's what my down payment's gonna be, and so I'm gonna do it. Because right now we're living with his parents and they're kind of hard to live with just because they're like very messy and I'm like not like that at all. It drives me crazy. So I'm like, you know what, I want to get out of here. And also I figured with a new build, we could lock in like today's pricing versus waiting a year when prices have gone up even higher. And then it's gonna be even harder to get into that house then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I literally set that goal yesterday and I'm like, it's gonna happen.
Or,
And I have my boyfriend to also hold me accountable because it's what I do that's gonna get us there.
or you can use, like first-time home buyer programs or down payment assistance programs, buy the house, and then with that $100,000, go buy a rental.
Yeah, well, what we're thinking
Look
is
at you.
like the house that we're gonna get into could be a rental, and then when his parents move and go back to Nepal, then like he will have their house, and then we'll sell that, and then by then I'll have worked even more, saved more, and then I can get an even nicer house by the end of my 20s. So, yeah, that's a big goal, and I want to do it.
Good.
You need an agent?
You know much about new builds?
So think, act, achieve. So this basically goes over what you're just talking about, right? If you have small actions, right, you're going to have small outcomes. If you have, massive action, you're going to have big outcomes. Were you guys on team meeting on Wednesday?
I was watching it live.
Did you watch the video about Gary Keller talking about goals?
I came in a little late, so.
So basically, when they wrote the book, The One Thing, Jay Papasan had a goal of selling 40,000 books, right? And then Gary Keller, he put his whole plan together on how we're going to achieve 40,000 sales. And then Gary Keller said, no, you need to double it and build a plan to sell 100,000, right? And so Jay went back and reworked his plan, was like, holy crap, I thought 40,000 was a lot. How am I going to figure out how to sell 100,000? But through their plan of trying to figure out how to sell 100,000, how many books did they actually end up selling? 40,000. So if they didn't double their goal and change their plans to 100, would they have sold 40, or do you think they would have sold 20? So part of it is, as you're building your business, right? What, how, and who? What's that mean to you guys? What, how, and who?
I feel like what we're doing, like what we are actually doing, what we're doing for, and then the for would be like the how. It's like, well, the who, like who are we doing our business for? It's like, for me, it's like, I want to help people, so I'm doing it for the public. And then, yeah, the who's the public. And how would just be, honestly, the biggest thing is just being myself, but being professional and just absorbing all the knowledge I can. And then just sharing that.
So I would, I think you should shift your thinking a little bit. The who isn't your client. The who is who's going to help you grow your business.
Oh, okay. I like that idea.
Right. Who's going to be on your team? So for example, if you look at the other side of the boomerang cards that I gave you, like Guild Mortgage is on there, right? So Guild Mortgage splits this cost with me, right? So if it's 80 cents a piece, we send out 1,000 a month, that's about $800, right? They split it with us, right? So they paid 400, we paid 400, and that's equal marketing for both of us, right? So those are some things that you start thinking about is who can I partner with to help offset some of these expenses, right? What I would say, what are your systems going to look like? What tools are you going to use to build your business to achieve these goals, right? So in my world, like this, right, I'm not going to Nothing Bundt Cakes and saying, hey, do you want to do this? Right. And every month finding a new business to partner with to do this. Boomerang does that for me. Right. And then my admin, I'm not the one who's entering people, right? So I'm going to post this on Facebook. People are going to raise their hand saying, yeah, I'd like one. I'm going to say, okay, send me your info. And then my admin's going to be the one who's going to address it and mail it and then enter them into the database. So they get these going forward automatically. And Guild Mortgage still splits it. Right. So what are some of the tools and systems that you're going to build in your business to help you achieve your goal? Right. right? Who are you going to partner with, right? As like yesterday, we talked about a transaction coordinator, right? They're going to free up 15 hours of your time, which is going to allow you to call more FISBOs, right? Which is going to allow you to go door knock more, or go do an open house, or whatever that looks like, right? So what are your systems? How are you going to implement your systems and tools, and who's going to help you do it? So your big life, they want us to do an activity to envision what your big life looks like. Once you have a vision in place, you can set meaningful goals that will bring you closer to that life. So once you have the goals, we can talk about how to reach them, and it begins with your vision. So, for me, part of my big life is, giving back, right? So one of the things that we do is we have a nonprofit. So out of every closing, we'll take $200 out of that closing, put it into that nonprofit. And whenever a past client needs help, so for example, when COVID hit, we were able to tap that nonprofit and buy food for clients, who were struggling a little bit. Even, just people we didn't know who said, I can't afford groceries right now. We would get them groceries. Even yesterday, somebody's, got COVID and hasn't worked for 2 weeks. So we were able to send them some money. Or, your big life might be, buying investment properties, or setting money aside for college, or putting money together for mom and dad's retirement. So what's your big life look like? If money was not an option, you had an unlimited supply of money, what would your big life look like? So why don't we spend some time and put pen to paper and figure out what your big life looks like. So what'd you come up with? What's your big life look like?
Retirement,
What's retirement look like?
just like not having to work, just kind of freedom, travel, enjoy just your free time.
So how much money do you need to retire and to maintain retirement?
It's like a endless amount of, an endless number. I'm like trying to think it, I'm like, I don't know how much.
So let's talk about that, right? My retirement, right? I want at least 20,000 in income a month, right? In order to achieve 20,000 in income a month, I'm going to do that through rental properties. So if you look at a rental property, let's say your average rental property generates you 500 a month, right? So 10 rental properties gets me $5 grand. So I basically need 40 rentals. How much does it cost to buy 40 rentals? Right. So now let's say each rental, say 400 grand, say 80 grand, right? So 10 rentals cost 800 grand. All right, so we're talking what, 3.2 million to get my 40 rentals? Is it doable to make 3.2 million in real estate?
Definitely.
So how do you quantify what your retirement looks like? When we just say,
I wrote down 3 million, but I wasn't thinking about that, but that's a great plan there.
Yeah, my boyfriend wants to do live off the dividend income. That's all.
you know? So let's talk about dividend income. How much dividend income do you need to earn to live off of?
We want at least 100K. And I think to have that, like, we're gonna save up every year, obviously. And then we want to retire by like late,
Mid-thirties.
oh, I know.
That makes me feel really old right now.
I know, time is on my side, I guess, but like, I guess like late 30s, and if we do that, we just need to have like, I think it's like 4 million invested to pump out $100,000 per year to live off of. And then
So-
of course, there's, I mean, continuous growth.
If you look at his option too, though, like, versus the dividends, his
Yeah.
rentals produced more income with less investment.
Yeah.
So I invested 3.2 million to make 20 grand a month, which is 240 a year.
Right.
You've got to invest 4 million to make 100 grand a year.
I mean, I don't quite know if those numbers that I said were right, but I mean, it's somewhere.
They are taxed
Right.
differently too, though, so I mean, there's that, but
And of course, there's always like, I mean, there's exponential growth, at least with investments, but I mean, they both have their risks, obviously. You got tenants and you got the market. So, yeah, but that's one way to get good retirement. One of the things I put on here is I want a dream ranch home. And I mean, ranch home doesn't have to be big, but I want like 4 million to just put into it, furniture, decorations, landscaping. The size, at least 3,000 square feet, so.
So you're talking 4 million in some company stock or whatever to generate the dividends, and another 4 million in a ranch.
Well, I didn't actually put the investment on here because I had other things that were more important to me than just that. Yeah.
Okay. It's on yours.
I'm an ambassador for Mission 22, so I've already partnered with them. So every sale I donate them a percentage of my commission. And we wanna buy an RV, like I think one of you heard me talking about that guy out there. His parents bought an RV and they just travel around to see the kids, because I have one in the military, I'm in college, so wherever they end up, I'd like to have an RV parked out back to where we can just go and visit them for a couple weeks. Pay off all their colleges, so my kids don't have to worry about student debt like me and my wife have. So that's what I would like to do.
So what's that look like?
Well, my one daughter got free college through the Air Force. My other daughter has about 70,000. And who knows what my boy's gonna have, depending on scholarships, so. And then my wife still has about 100,000, so maybe about, I'd say about 200,000 total. To pay off their whole debt.
And how much is the RV?
Depends on
You
what
get
I
real
wanna
fancy.
get.
Like you can get 10
Yeah.
grand up to
Up to
500
100,
grand.
yeah.
it's not fancy.
I don't wanna have a fifth wheel, because then you have to buy a truck,
Yeah.
and then you have two things that can break on you. I'd rather have just one RV, you know. So,
I
I
think
was
either
thinking-
way,
I was
Intro
thinking,
is like 80 to 100 on
Yeah.
either way, you're towing something, right? Because if you get, like a big motorhome.
yeah, you're gonna have to have a car,
You're towing a car,
so
or you got a truck and towing a
That's
fifth
true.
wheel, so.
that's true. But that's our dream, it's just
live on the road.
well, we still want a house here to live in, to where we could come back and have a house. But just to be able to leave for 2 weeks and
Have a
not
place to
spend
stay.
2 weeks in a hotel. Just, that's what we want to do.
What about you?
So I wrote down, investment, into property rentals, different things like that. Don't know quite numbers or anything. I know you're gonna ask. I don't really have anything set right now. I'm very passionate about early childhood education. So that's something I definitely want to be able to give back to. And then, of course, my kids' education, college, given some numbers that he just kind of threw out, probably about 200K. So,
What about you guys at home?
This is Scott. I'm from the South, so I think similar to what Brent had mentioned, I'm looking to toggle back and forth, and whether that's maybe through potential expansion with KW or not, but toggle between Florida and Colorado. I've got some girls, and one of the smart things I did when they were young, when we lived in Florida, is I actually did the prepaid college program. So I've told them they go to any college they want as long as it's in Florida, because it's already paid for. But yeah, looking to toggle between Florida and Colorado during different times of the year, particularly if they're going to be in college and stuff, and really have a hybrid of, the real estate business generating income. And then I'm also a big advocate of real estate. I've owned some investment properties in the past, and don't have any today, waiting for things maybe to shift a little bit for opportunities to pop up, but then be able to acquire some investment properties for passive cash flow. I live a pretty frugal life, expense wise. So, realistically, I don't need a whole lot of passive income. That's
So if
me.
you were to quantify that and put a number to what you're looking to do, what's that number look like?
Well, expense wise, I don't need but about $5,000 a month, maybe a little bit more right now today, so I too think, $500 a month, in cash flow for an investment property is very, very realistic. And so whether that I'm particularly looking in the some parts of the Florida market where I can acquire properties where they sell for here 400,000 or 500,000, I can get for under 200,000 in neck of the woods that I'm familiar with. And then I can rinse and repeat. I can pay cash for those, refinance it, get my cash back, go get another deal. So I'm just kind of sitting on the sideline waiting for things to shift, and could anticipate getting 3-4 properties in a year, depending on certain variables. The challenge is those are in Florida, I'm in Colorado, hence me maybe looking at potentially expansion.
Very cool. So, I mean, we've seen numbers from 4 million to 200,000. I think both numbers are realistic. It's just how do you build your business so you can generate those numbers? Right? I mean, you trying to generate 200 grand a year, or you trying to generate enough to live on plus say 200 grand a year? What's your timeline to start putting this money together?
I say in like the next 10 years, well, one of my big things that I think is worth mentioning is donate to charity. And one that's kind of like more close to my heart would be for like parents who have, well, for kids whose like parents have passed away. And like, I wrote down 200,000 for that, but I'd like to like donate, well, I kind of thought like 200,000 like total for the next 10 years. I think that'd be really important and would help out so many kids get through troubles. And then, but I would like that 4 million for my ranch home, like 15 to 20 years from now.
Well, I mean, off the bat, in 10 years to set aside 4 million, you've got to generate 400 grand in income
Mhm.
a year, over, right? So what I'm trying to get is, what's your annual income number for you to live
Yeah.
and still have enough socked away to do what you
Yeah.
want to do?
You know, it's kind of something that I've had like questions about is I would love to sell like luxury homes. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I'm like most interested in. And like one of the reasons why, you know, kind of got into this industry is just because I love homes, but it's I love luxury homes. And so obviously selling homes like that, you get higher commission just because, you know, their prices is really high. So that's something I want to get into is selling luxury homes. Because obviously that will generate more income for the same amount of time that it would be if I was just selling average priced homes.
Sure. Well, what's the annual income number?
Mm,
I mean,
Well, I
already you
guess
talked
for-
about 420.
I guess for 4 million, it probably needs to be, yeah, like maybe 300 to 400,000, because I can always invest it. And then that will grow by the time it gets to that point.
Sure. But you still got expenses.
Yeah, well, kind of like one of the guys on Zoom, like live pretty frugally, where it's, I mean,
No,
I get my
not
basic
even-
necessities
I'm not
and
even
shop every now
talking
and
about,
then.
I'm not even talking about your cost of living,
Oh, okay.
right? I'm saying to build a business to generate income, right? So for example, let's say you're 10K commission,
Mhm,
right? 30% to KW, you're left with 7,
mhm.
right? You still have cost of sale, right? You
Yeah.
still have cost to acquire that client. Like I said, if I sent out a mailing to a neighborhood, I sent out 1,000 cards, cost me $1,200 to acquire a client, right? So also my 7 grand is now 6 grand,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You still have your cell phone, you still have insurance, you still have gas, right? I mean, let's start thinking about business owners, right? Your commission is not 100% gravy money,
Mhm.
right? I have to pay for Boomerang to stay in touch with my clients. You know, I'm going to put money aside to put on events, right? Maybe my clients come to the movie night we're putting on. You know, we've got a big promotional tent where we'll set up a booth, you know, so our clients can come find us, and then we'll have some swag for them, right? So maybe we'll give them some Frisbees or whatever, right? You have to reinvest back in your business.
Mhm.
So they say at the end of the day, out of your commission, you're probably going to pocket 40%. Then out of that 40%, you still got to pay Uncle Sam, right? And out of that 40%, you still got to live on,
Mhm.
right? So if it's not just, you know, my number is 200 grand, right? Okay, so then you need to double it just to pocket 200 grand.
Right.
So keeping that in mind, right? So let's say you're at 200,000, right? What's the timeline on putting this 200 grand together to get college paid for to buy an RV?
Within the next 5, 7 years.
Okay, so let's say 5 years. Let's do some quick numbers here. So, like I said, to pocket 200 grand, you're gonna wanna, I'd say probably generate 500-600 grand, right? Because we still gotta pay Uncle Sam because he's gonna get his cut. right? And we'll talk about that next, but paying KW, paying for all your business expenses, assuming you pocketed 40 grand, and then you still had to pay taxes on that, or you pocketed 40% and you still had to pay taxes and all that stuff. Let's bump your number to say 600 grand. 600 grand over 5 years means you need to make 120 a year, which I think is doable.
And that's just college, though. That's in the RV.
But if it was 120 a year and your average commission is, let's just say 10 grand, right? Make the math easy. I mean, the average sales price of a house is, I don't know, 550, 600 grand, something like that. So really the average commission is probably closer to 15, 16 grand, right? But let's just make math easy and say 10 grand. So if you did one home a month, you've hit your goal. So then I ask you, is your goal big enough?
Well, and then I would have to look at my other 4 and then have to say, okay, I need to sell another house a month to get that. And then if I want that one, then I have to sell another.
So breaking it down to a level that's manageable, right? Like we talk about, we want $4 million over 10 years, right? But how do we break it down so we have a plan to our goal? Right? How many homes do you need to sell a month for you to hit your retirement goal or your investment goal or to pay off student loan goal? What's that number?
I guess you just have to work backwards. So take your big number, times it by, or divide it by the percentage of what's gonna go to
I divide it by
taxes.
40%. Yeah.
Yeah, divide it by the taxes, and then you got your taxes number, and then you gotta figure out, okay, well now add on to what the expenses number for getting clients, your advertising, whatever it is. And then the KW, but then don't forget that there's capping.
Sure.
I've done this math so much the last week. And then figuring that out. And then of course, then saying, okay, well, what's the total home price that I have to sell over this amount of time? And then just figure out, if you want to do average home pricing or whatever, and then divide it by the number of years.
Yep.
And then you get your number for what?
So it sounds like you've done the math.
Oh, yeah.
What's the number?
For this, I don't know, but I know at least for getting my house next year, I really just have to sell like 1.5 homes per month, which I know obviously that can't sell half a home, so roughly 2 homes a month.
And you factor in business expenses and taxes.
Yeah, I
Or-
factored in taxes. I haven't quite considered business expenses because I don't really know what they are gonna be yet, but I know they're gonna be. So really the realistic goal would be I should shoot for like 240 versus 130 for just the down payment. I want to shoot for more. And plus, there's landscaping and furniture I gotta pay for. So
Yep.
yeah. But at least for 130, yeah, it's like just over 1 home a month.
So talking more about, where's all the money go? Right? I think when we do the math, nobody thinks about, I'm gonna get the full 6%, right? In our minds, we understand it's gonna be 2.8 or what have you, so. I don't think we need to talk about the other agents. We did talk about the market center, so you're gonna pay your cap, your splits, right? Business expenses, and then you have your take home, and then don't forget about taxes. Everybody in here have a CPA or?
I'm thinking about getting one. Probably want to, or I'll drive myself crazy.
So I would definitely recommend getting a CPA, right? I can give you mine if you guys want. And there's a couple things to think about. So getting a CPA is, how are you going to pay yourself, right? Do you want to set up an LLC where all your commissions go to that LLC, and then your LLC or your S Corp or whatever structure you're going to set up, right? Then you're on payroll with that company, right? So all your commissions go in there, and then your income basically becomes payroll, right? So even though you made 30 grand in commissions this month, if you're paying yourself 10 grand a month, that's all you get paid. 20 grand stays in the company account, right? But then you're on payroll, taxes get taken out automatically, right? Or if you're just gonna take all the commissions, how much do you need to set aside in taxes? What I do is I'm both on payroll and I also bonus myself part of the commissions. So, right, I get payroll taxes taken out and so forth, but what I do is whenever I bonus myself, I send the IRS their cut right away. So your CPA, the IRS wants it quarterly, right? I just give it to them. I send the IRS money like 4 or 5 times a month, right? This way, it's not like, because for me, I'm like, I could go buy that real quick. You know what I mean?
I'll just pay my
IRS.
tax on my next house.
IRS can wait a little bit. Next thing you know, you owe the IRS 100 grand, right? So.
Hey, Mike, this
Yep.
is Scott. I understand why you do that, but some others may not understand why you're on payroll for part and then you take a distribution for another part or a bonus like you indicated. So can you clarify for some that may not be familiar why you do that?
Well, for me, there's a couple reasons why I'm on payroll. Is the Division of Labor and Unemployment came and audited us because we happened to let one of our admins go, and she filed an unemployment insurance claim. And the Division of Unemployment came and audited us and said, you should be on payroll. And so they forced me to get on payroll. If not, I probably wouldn't be on payroll. But I think that's just my funny story. But I think as a business owner, right, I think it's an easy way for you to manage your P&L, right? So for you to say, it costs me this much money a year to run my business, right? So for my payroll to pay me, to pay my admin, to cover all these marketing expenses and so forth, it costs me this much money a year, right? It allows you to budget and grow your business. So next year, this year I spent 10 grand on marketing. Next year I'm going to spend 20. It helps you build your P&L so you can manage your money. I think is a big reason why you should be on payroll, right? It's going to help you that way.
Yeah. Another from a putting more money in your pocket perspective is when you're on payroll and you have your payroll company pay you as like a W-2 employee through that process, you're going to be taxed at the different federal tax brackets. But if you set up an entity, get with your CPA on this, but if you set up an entity and you give yourself a distribution, that distribution is taxed at a different tax rate. So you can you pocket or profit the net difference. So that's just something to think about.
And you also pay, right now you're going to pay self-employment tax, right? If you become an employee, as long as you pay yourself a reasonable wage in the eyes of the IRS, you go on, you pay the Social Security and stuff like that, but then your distributions are taxed self-employment tax. So I recommend getting a CPA, right? So you can start figuring out how you want to pay yourself, what you need to set aside, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I also know an LLC is just important because say if you get sued, what's getting sued is the LLC and not like your person. And if your person's getting sued, then they can take all your assets, which you don't want to lose that, especially your home.
Yeah. I think you also have E&O. So for your E&O to max out, you got to screw up big. You know what I mean? You can also talk to your insurance agent, right? You can get a business policy, you can get an umbrella policy. So as you start to acquire assets and so forth, and your net worth grows, yeah, I think you should think about how you're going to insure yourself and insulate yourself and protect yourself.
Oh, God.
Goes that
That's
fast.
funny.
That was real active.
Yeah. So here's another exercise on how to figure out your income and what you need to earn, right? So if it's a $300,000 sales price, assuming you made a 3% commission, you made $9,000, right? So it talks about how many homes do you need to sell to hit your goals.
Oh yeah, I also forgot that you have to factor in that 6%. That's how I've been doing my math, is factoring in that 6% too.
Yep. Yeah, our cap isn't bad. Like if you look at some markets like Hawaii and California, their cap's like 50, 60 grand.
Wow, I kind of figured, I think like with the average homes, say like, I did my math is 550,000. So I kind of figured, I think it was like 4 homes.
About 2
Cover it.
million in sales, you know, you
Yeah.
cap.
So I'm like, well, that's not bad at all.
Yep. Sell 4 homes in 1 month, you cap in 1 month.
Also, how do you figure out like people in your own downline? Because obviously people in your, like if you have at least one person in your own downline, that should offset that 6% that you're paying out. But then, of course, you know, you build a bigger downline than just one person. So then, I mean, is that just kind of like a bonus in your mind, or can you actually factor that into your income?
I would say,
So I mean, it's all up in the air exactly how other people are gonna perform.
right. I would say if you recruit a new agent, it's up in the air, right? You don't know how they're gonna perform. You don't know if they're gonna make it, right? Let's say you recruit a seasoned agent, right? An agent that's been in the business 10 years, that has a consistent business. Yet you can look at their numbers and you know he's
Okay.
gonna cap, and I can expect to make this much money off this person. Right. So for example, let's say you recruited me to KW, right? Okay, he sells about 30 million a year. He's for sure gonna cap. Once they cap, you know, because the company's not making any money off of that, your profit share stops. Right. So the average capper that you bring into the company is going to put somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500 into your pocket, assuming the office they go into is profitable. Because if the office is not profitable, then there's no profit share.
Okay.
Right. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So if you bring a capper in and they go to an office, like maybe it's a brand new office, right? And that office isn't profitable yet,
Mhm.
then you're not going to see any profit share.
Okay.
Right? But if you bring them into an office with 400 agents and the office is making money like crazy, yeah, you'll make $2,000 off of it easy.
Okay.
So there's some guys, that's their business. They don't even sell real estate, right? They got licensed and they joined KW, they just started recruiting. And, you know, there's a guy, his name is Aaron Kaufman. But what he did was, yeah, he just started recruiting. Now he makes like $6 grand a month off profit share. He doesn't sell real estate anymore.
That's nice.
Right. I think he actually moved to, it's like Costa Rica or something, because the cost of living is so cheap. And he profit shares $6 grand a month. He's just living retired.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't know as of yesterday that you can recruit people from other states for other offices.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm like, well, shoot, that just taps into so many more people I know now.
Yeah. What he does is he just runs his strategy. What he ran Facebook ads. I was thinking about getting into real estate.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then people are like, yeah, I want to get into real estate. And then he's like, okay, where do you live? And then they set them up, you know, he'll call Anna or whatever.
Mhm.
And recruits them and they go into his downline. And now he's making $6 grand a month.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking of making a Facebook post today, just saying, hey, you want to get into real estate, just give me a call.
No.
Okay.
There's another agent named Linda McKissick. She makes about 110 grand a month on profit share. You know how many people she brought into the company? 17.
Wow.
And those 17 just started, you know, recruiting like crazy. And now she's making 100 grand a month. So now her goal is, so I talked to her, that was probably a year ago. I talked to her and she said now her goal is, so the people that are in her downline that she's making $1 million a year off of, her goal is to get those people to make $1 million a year off of their profit share.
That's nice.
So what's it look like if somebody in your downline is making $1 million? How much money are you making? Right?
Mhm.
And then you just repeat, right? So now this person's making $1 million. Now this person's making $1 million. Now this person's making $1 million. How much money are you making?
A lot.
It can be a lot of money. So your net income goal, 100 grand, company dollar, 30 grand, business expenses, 50. So you see how it adds to your goal, right? You want to add your split to your goal. You want to add your business expenses to your goal. And then if you take your average commission in this scenario was 9,000, means you have to sell 20 homes to take home 100 grand,
Okay.
right? So if your goal was 200, let's do 40 homes in a year and you're taking home 200 grand a year, right? So is that doable? 3-4 homes a month? Is that doable?
Maybe in my 5-year plan.
Why? Why is it going to take you 5 years to?
No. I'm saying, I don't want to put an unrealistic goal that next month I'm gonna sell 4 homes. Because if I don't, and I only sell 1, then I gotta add those 3 somewhere into my,
Sure, you got to
Next
average
month.
them out to the rest of the year.
you
Yeah.
know, so, before I got licensed, I thought it was gonna hit the ground and I could sell a house in my first month. Well, I found out my first month went really fast,
Mhm.
and I didn't sell a home. And now I'm in my second month, almost halfway through. And I'm planting those seeds and everything like that, but I'm still waiting to get that first. So I'm trying not to put myself in a unrealistic situation to where in 2 months I'm getting down on myself and being like, man, I didn't hit my goal.
So let me ask you though, if your goal was 40 homes a month, 40 homes a year, right? Are you taking the appropriate level of action, right? So we had that slide at the beginning, right? Massive action gets you massive outcomes. Are you taking the right level of action to get you to your goal?
I'm trying to,
So he's saying like shoot for the stars and land on.
yeah,
Right, so what I'm saying is, let's just say your goal was 4 a month, right? Are you willing to go door knock 100 doors a day to get 40 deals a month? Are you willing to call 100 FSBOs a day to get 40 deals a month? Are you taking enough action to get you the leads? Like yesterday, you called 1 lead, 1 FSBO got a lead, right? What's it look like if you called 50 FSBOs a day and got a lead a day? Would you be able to sell 4 homes a month?
yeah,
So are you taking enough action?
right now, no.
Okay, so the question is, are you willing to take massive action to get to your desired outcome? I could say I want to make $1 million a year, right? But if I'm not out here taking the appropriate level of action, am I going to make $1 million a year, right? Am I going to make $1 million a year? I come into the office, call 1 FSBO, go to lunch. After lunch, I go play golf. Am I going to make $1 million a year doing that? Probably not, right? What if you did an open house every day? Think you could sell 3 homes a month if you did an open house every day? Probably, right? So what level of action do you need to take to hit your goal?
One of my big things is I really want to convert like any seller I get for me to become their buyer's agent. And that, will make it even easier because then I don't have to go and take the extra time to lead gen again because now this one person has become 2 transactions.
Sure.
So that's just kind of like a trick for me to maximize profit per time.
But how do you get the sellers? How many sellers a month do you need?
I think it'd be great to have like 3.
Okay. What level of action are you going to need to take to get 3 sellers a month?
I'm gonna lead gen every day.
What's that look like? I could come in and call 1 FSBO and said, I lead gen. Done.
No, I think I'm gonna like lead gen for like 4 hours a day. So like that's gonna be my morning routine.
Okay. So let's quantify that 4 hours a day. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna call FSBOs and expired listings and then still keep track of the people in my sphere that I know are going to be buying and then see if they're at that point where now they're ready. And just constantly reach out to people. And then I'm also going to join community organizations. That way I can meet more people and like even not in my 4 hours lead genning, I can still kind of lead gen whenever I'm at whatever such and such activity
Mhm.
with those people.
Sure, that's a good way to do it. You can join like a book club, right? Or you can join what, your Chamber of Commerce has like
Yeah.
leads groups, right? That could be a part of your lead gen, right? There's no one way to build a business. But what I want you to think about is whatever ways you're doing to build a business, are you taking enough action to get you the results you want? Right? Like, are you full-time real estate or do you have another job?
And that's gonna be my full-time.
Okay. So, like you say, 4 hours a day, right? If this is your full-time job, if you were working for yourself, right? Like, let me rephrase this. If you were working for somebody and you didn't have any appointments, and this was your full-time job, should you be lead genning for 8 hours a day?
Yeah.
Right? Why are we limiting it to 4? Because if you have no business in the pipe, you got nothing going on, why are you only lead genning for 4 hours a day?
Well, I'm thinking, well, obviously I'll lead gen more at the very beginning, but I'm thinking a little further down where, I'm gonna have appointments and I wanna make sure I can have several appointments a day. Like I wanna make sure I have that time blocked
Sure.
out too.
Yeah, if you have appointments, yeah. But what I'm saying is even further down, right? If that day you don't have appointments,
Oh, yeah.
should you be lead genning for 8 hours a day?
Yeah.
Right.
And luckily my boyfriend works a 9 to 5, so whenever he's working, I've got plenty of time to work too.
Right. So what's it look like if you just went and door knocked for even 6 hours a day, 100 doors a day? Would you sell 3-4 homes a year? Or 3-4 homes a month, I should say?
I'm on my second round and people are actually starting to open their doors.
Second round on how many doors?
150
In a month or what?
just in the last 2 weeks,
So what's it look like if you did 100 a day?
quadruple it.
So let's just say you said in the last 2 weeks, you knocked 150 doors.
Yeah.
Did you get any leads?
I haven't gotten any leads, but I've gotten a lot of people to talk to me. So
Did you add anybody to the database?
I shouldn't say a lot of people, a lot of people just don't answer their door, but after my second time, or walking the neighborhood, people start opening up their doors because they figure out I'm not a pest control guy.
So what's it look like if, you're calling the neighborhood, right? So we pull a list of the neighborhood. You're calling the neighborhood and you're also door knocking the neighborhood and you're also doing events in the neighborhood.
look a lot better.
Now, what's it look like? Because you could door knock and call a neighborhood in 2 days, right? So now what's it look like if you've got 10 neighborhoods? You're doing Talons Reach, you're doing Saddle Rock, you're doing South Shore, Copperleaf, Blackstone. Now what's it look like?
A lot better.
So what's
Am-
preventing you from doing that?
Myself.
Mike, this goes back to yesterday, track your numbers
Yep.
and and the accountability piece. And so what I did last night, I built a rough draft. I haven't finalized it, but to your points that you're talking to right now is almost create different buckets, right? And so some of the buckets I created was my prospecting. Circle prospecting is what I plan on doing. So, track on a daily basis, and then you can aggregate it, summarize it for a monthly basis. And then obviously you can annualize it or make it on a quarterly basis. But, my dials, my contacts, the appointments scheduled, and then you can work the numbers and ratios that way. And then ratios, your buyer meetings, your listing meetings, you can work your conversion ratio that way. And then I've also got a bucket like, emails that I may send out or text, you got open house. I don't have door knocking. That's probably not going to be a prospecting method that I have, but I got a bucket for, maybe inbound digital marketing leads, whatever that may look like, from the Facebook through KW Command. So, and then my goal is to manage this on a daily basis, and then I can go back and look at it, right, and hold myself accountable.
100%. You know, one thing I say you should start building out is as you start taking this massive action, right? Like you said, people are starting to answer the door. Are these people getting added to command, to your CRM, whatever platform you're using? Are they getting added? What kind of follow-up are you assigning to these people, right? You knocked on the door, somebody answered. Are they getting a thank you card? After you get a thank you card, what are the next steps? What are you sending to them? Are you sending them a boomerang card, right? How are you staying in touch with these people that you're taking all this massive action to generate, right? You want to be adding them to the database, right? Because eventually they will sell, right? You door knock. Yeah, I don't have any plans right now. No problem. If you were to make a move, when do you think that might be? 2 years. We'll probably move in 2 years. Okay, great. Well, it's, you know, love to stay in touch with you this way. When you are ready to make a move, I'd love an opportunity to earn your business, right? They go into command. This guy's 2 years out. What's my 2-year marketing plan to stay in touch with this client? Right? Because you can't neglect that. You don't want to call all these FSBOs like Robert, right? And then, you know, you start building this relationship, but then there's no system to stay in touch with them. So that goes back to the very beginning, right? The what, the who, the people, right? What's this look like after you've met these people and they get added to the database? So you can't forget about building that. Command has a tool for you to track your goal. Have you guys checked that out at all?
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty slick. You know, you put it in there, and then you know it correlates with your opportunities, and you know you can look at your goals and see if you're on track or not. So I check it out. Who's heard about the 20%, the 80-20 principle?
Many times, even in the last 3 years.
Yeah. So you figure 80% of the FSBOs you call aren't going to go anywhere, right? Or even 80% of the doors you knock aren't going to go anywhere, right? But it's the 20% that are going to end up doing something with you. So, you know, like Scott just talked about, it's all a numbers game, right? You knock on 1,000 doors, you're probably going to have 200 people that'll answer, that you'll have a conversation with, right? So the question is, are you knocking on enough doors, right? You generate 1,000 internet leads, right? How many of those leads are going to end up buying something, right? Yeah, we'll generate, you know, when an agent joins my team, my goal is to generate 100 internet leads for them a month. Because I know if I generate 100 internet leads for them a month, they're probably going to have about 20 conversations. They have 20 conversations, then they're probably going to get, I'd say, somewhere between 5 and 7 good nurtures, right? Because I understand that the internet lead is probably a 6 to 12 month game. All right, so if I generated an internet lead today, they're not going to do business for 6 to 12 months, right? But if I generated 1,000, we talked to 20, we end up nurturing 5 to 7. We're going to sell 2 homes in 6 to 12 months from our activities this month.
Yeah, I've noticed that already.
You know?
Like when I was messaging my sphere, this is kind of like, I didn't even realize this before, but I messaged roughly like 830 people. And out of that, roughly 24% actually messaged me back. So I mean, that's about that 20%,
Yep.
which is kind of interesting. And then even of that 20% that messaged back, I mean, there's probably like 50 people that are going to be potentially for the next year and a half. And like 10 of them like this year.
Yep. And I also say, you know, it can correlate to your efforts as well. You know, that's why in real estate, they say you want to lead gen at the beginning of the day. Because if you get your lead gen done at the beginning of the day, the rest of your day can go to shit and it really doesn't matter because you've done what's most important in the business, right? You've lead gen.
And I guess that also gives the whole day for the person that you lead gen to get back to you
Sure.
if they didn't answer.
No. But I think They talk about big rocks. They've got big rocks on the screen. Big rocks are things you don't want to do. Right? Who wakes up and says, I'm gonna go call some FISBOs today? Nobody, right? Nobody's excited about doing that. Nobody likes calling FISBOs and getting hung up on or yelled at and stuff. Nobody likes door knocking, getting your door slammed in your face, right? But if you get your big rocks done at the beginning of your day, 20% of your effort is going to drive 80% of your business, right? Because getting that client is the battle. Once you have the client, then it's easy, right? Getting that seller is the hard part. Once the seller signs with you, then the rest is easy. I really like this quote. What is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary?
Legion.
Right? Because eventually you can, if you lead gen enough and you build your business to a point, right? You can hire admin to handle all the unnecessary. Right? If I lead gen every morning and I get, 2-3 leads that morning every day, is it okay if I go play golf in the afternoon?
You can just keep going.
You could keep going, but I've done what's important that day. So if you've done what's important that day, you get to go goof off in the afternoon.
Guess depends on how driven you are for your end goal.
Sure,
But you can.
you could. Right, I could lead gen in the morning and then give the leads to my agents. My agents work the leads and I could go golf, right?
Technically, you could be lead genning on your golfing.
You
Yeah.
could.
I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of what I realized. Like,
joining
yeah.
a lead, you meet so many people.
I know some agents, they call it bar farming.
Mhm.
Go to happy hour every day and you just talk to people at the bar.
Those are big ones if you want to get into like the higher end ones, pickleball, golf, tennis.
Yeah, and my boyfriend works at a bank, and I mean, he's gonna be in that position eventually where he's gonna go golf, and if I can go with him. And that's mostly, oh my gosh, those would be big dollar homes, I'm sure. That's exactly what I want to get into. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I guess there really isn't a moment where you're not lead genning if you're out in the public and doing other activities that are fun. I mean, shoot, I've been bowling, I can join a bowling league. I play violin. I really want to join symphony, and that's like 60 people. So I can join multiple.
Yep, just as long as you track your numbers,
Mhm.
because if the 60 people bring you one deal a year, you better have other ways to get clients.
Could even actually be friendly at the nail salon.
You could. Have you guys seen this 411?
We're gonna have gone over something like that looks pretty similar.
I like the tool. Helps you track your goals, right? So you have your annual goal of, I want to sell 40 homes a year, right? Break that down to how many homes you need to sell a month. And then it further breaks it down to what do you need to do this week? So if you get this week done, you get all 4 weeks done, you should hit your monthly goals. If you hit your monthly goals, you should hit your annual goals.
Mhm.
So it kind of breaks it down for you every week, right? So you would start with, let's just make the math easy, right? 120 grand in income, say 12 homes, right? 10 grand a pop,
Yeah.
which means your monthly goals, I need to sell 1 home a month, right? So what am I going to do this week to get me to my monthly goal, right? And then so you'll list out your weekly goals, and then you'll leave the rest of the 3 weeks blank, because if something happened in week 1, and you're going to roll it over to week 2, and then add what you didn't do week 1 to week 2, and then you'll just work your weeks to hit your month, to hit your year. So I think it's a good tool to check out. You can just Google, KW411 worksheet. And there's several versions of it, but they all do the same thing.
Yeah, there's one in this, and it even looks different from that one.
So
That even has professional and personal goals on it.
Yep. I think it's easy to lose focus. You know, that's especially where the real estate roller coaster the commission roller coaster comes in. Right? You get a deal, you lose focus on lead gen because I got a deal. I'd say just don't, you know, the 411 will help you remain focused. Right. So you look at your week, okay, I still need to lead gen this week. Right. So you said your goal was 4 hours of lead gen a day, right? Was that 20 a week? 20 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of your weekly goals is generate lead gen for 20 hours. And let's say you tracked it week 1, I only lead gen for 15 hours. Well, week 2 means you got to do 25,
Mhm.
right? And I think this is where the accountability comes in. You tell your kid you run to Disney World, right? You think that agent loses focus when he comes home and his kids are like, you sell a house today? You tell your kids, hey, I'm going to sell enough homes to pay off your student loans, right? Are your kids going to say, did you sell any homes today? Right? Did you door knock today? If you didn't sell any home today, did you go door knocking? What'd you do today to sell a home today? Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. What do you think of that quote? This one for me, I struggle with this one a little bit, right? Because I totally agree, accountable people achieve results, right? I think my struggle with it is I haven't identified who's going to hold me accountable, right? Or the people that I have identified to hold me accountable. I guess, like say my wife, right? She's not like, hey, just sell a house today, right? So I think I can do a better job of saying, hey, I need you to hold me accountable, and this is how I want you to hold me accountable, right? For some people, it's like, hold me accountable, and if I don't do it, I'm going to write a check to my arch enemy or whatever, right? Or if I don't hit my goals, I'm going to write a check to this charity, right? I think, if you can figure out early on who's going to hold you accountable and what's the best way to hold you accountable, I think that's going to help in achieving your goals.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting for me that's helped is, especially through college, is I'm just big on like making my parents proud. And I mean, they're not here, but I mean, just like wanting to make them proud is enough for me to keep the motivation to work incredibly hard to achieve anything. And it's like, I mean, they're not here to like ask me if I like, if I sold a house, but it's like, I just know that, I mean, like, I just want them to be the most proud. And I think just finding that like has helped in a way to keep myself accountable and not rely on others necessarily.
So what happens in 5 years? You're selling 40 homes a year. You're making 400 grand a year, right? So, you said at that point, what holds you accountable once you achieve that level of success? Does that still drive you or no?
Yeah. I'm big on just like regrounding myself and not like losing touch of like who I am. And even like through success, I feel like as long as I just remember like where I'm from, the family that I do have around me, that's enough to keep me grounded. And if I stay grounded, then I can stay in sight of, where I found accountability in myself.
What holds Britt accountable?
What holds me accountable? My child, I have I have coaches. Coaching is like my biggest thing. And I set other accountability goals with my coaches. So like staying on track with my numbers and or keeping track. Keeping track keeps you on track, I would say.
I think that helps for sure,
That's a big one.
because if you don't know where you're at,
Yep. And my biggest thing is writing out a timeline, because if I revisit my timeline and you structure everything into your timeline, like by this point, I want to make this much money. By this point, I want to be here. By this point, I want to be there. Then 30 days from now, when you take a look at your timeline and you're not there, it makes you feel pretty lousy. And then you don't want that to happen again. I think it's different for everybody though. I mean, and I need a very high level of accountability because I will make excuses for everything and I can find a way to talk my way out of anything. Yeah.
yeah, I think we all do it.
Yeah.
Oh crap, this deal's on fire. I gotta fix this deal instead of leeching.
Yep. Exactly. And I think that's the other thing is like when you put, it doesn't matter where you're at in your business, you can find ways of leveraging things to leveraging people or, systems to help you. Because as long as you have that stuff in place, when there is a deal that's blowing up or when something is, things come up all the time. And if you already have those things in place, then you're less likely to fall off track and more likely to stick to what it is that you need to do. And then, I think, building your lead gen bunker. Michael, I don't know if you do this. I hear you doing your lead gen calls all over the place, and that.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Well, I hear them in your office, or like sometimes you walk out. I'm not saying all over the place, but like I hear you.
Okay.
So that keeps me like, I'm like, oh, he's just doing it. He just is doing it and he's not letting anything get in the way. So I need to go do mine. I shouldn't be on this side of the office anyway. I should be over there. You know what I mean? But we always say build your lead gen bunker. And it's like, okay, well, what's going to distract me? Get on top of that stuff beforehand. I lock my office door because being here, I can't lead gen at home, or the dog or the laundry or the kid or whatever will get in the way. And when I'm here, people are like, hey, hi, how are you? And all of the, you got a minute. And so I lock my door and I face the opposite direction. And I don't let people distract me. That's also why I have a separate phone. This is my lead gen phone. This one gets locked in the drawer.
Yeah, I think I'm
Seriously?
eventually gonna do 2 phones.
I don't have any contacts saved in here. This is for lead gen. And my kid plays with it, but he's got his stupid games on there. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? So, because otherwise it's like, oh, text messages, oh, Facebook, emails, whatever. I don't have any emails account. I have nothing set up on there. And before I had a landline phone from the office that I asked for. They gave it to me and just plugged it into my office. And I would give my phone to whoever was at the front desk when I walked in. And I would go back there and work on that stupid phone. So just different little things like that help. And it's a struggle all the time, so you'll have to just keep figuring it out.
Yeah, well, I always had to like get over the like thing of like, oh, I feel like I'm just gonna be bothering this person because I have to do follow-up at Home Depot for sales. And yeah, like same thing. I had to finally just get over like I see their phone number and I'm like, okay, now I have to call them again because I have to call them every single day until they answer.
Yep.
So yeah.
See, and that was good training for you to be doing that because it's the same thing here. And so many times you're not bothering them. It's just they're busy like you are.
Mm-hmm.
They've got other stuff going on. I mean, I've been trying to get people out for this new internet service is it available? And want the internet service. I just don't have time. I told them, I'm like, you can call me and text me every single day until I get you the stuff you need and get you on the calendar, because I just, it's not that I don't want to hear from you. And it's not that people don't want to hear from you.
Mhm. Yeah, and I even tried like calling people like different times of the day even.
Yep.
Because
That's always,
I mean, maybe they're just busy at this time of day, so I'll try it this time of day.
yeah, and keeping track of that stuff, like you're way ahead of it, because that's also part of the game that I would play with myself, is I'm like, I don't think they're gonna answer if I call them between 10 and 11, so I'll try to call them between 10 and 11, so that I say that I called them, but they don't have to worry about them actually answering. Like, all these little things that your mind tries to get in the way of, you know? So. Where are you guys at?
We're at recap and ahas.
Oh, I see that. Which, have you guys done your break yet?
No,
Okay,
that's why we take a quick break.
right now? Okay. How many minutes?
10.
10 minutes. On the clock. Cool. Ready, break. Yep, and break. Oh, you guys are pretty far. Not bad. See, that's why getting 2 of them in one day. How was that?
Huh?
How was it? It was no big deal yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was fun. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think we'll be done. We'll be done early today.
No, I know for like the next packet, because I was gonna print it and I was just like, this is 17 pages. Not
You
printing
can
this right now.
print them here,
Yeah,
and you don't need to, like, we're not gonna charge you for copies to print here, it'll be fine.
okay. Well, I haven't even had my text set up, but yeah, I was gonna print it at home, but it was like already 11 o'clock. I'm like, it's time to go to bed. And this one's super long and my printer's slow.
Yeah, no, that's fine, if you want them printed here, we can do that.
Okay. Oh, I do kind of like the color, it looks pretty. I'm a colors person.
I know, makes a little more interesting.
You know, like my calendar is just all color. The only thing I was able to get through my last semester was having lots of, like every class had a color, and like I used the Evernote calendar and it just like looked really, really scary, but then I just had to break it down, like I'm gonna do this stuff this day, this stuff this day, it'll be okay.
Right, yeah,
Because if I looked at it as a whole week of what I need to do, I would,
just
Shut
overwhelming, yeah, exactly.
I have no idea how I got through the semester. Emotional.
You're here?
Yeah.
Well, I dropped my facilitator guide and I thought that maybe some pages got out of order, but I think they're fine. Because there's not numbers at the bottom.
And we're basically done.
I know, so I was gonna say, you just got a couple of things and then.
We can lead gen
Lead gen scripts.
and
at the
role
end.
play.
I'm excited for our one-on-one because I made a new goal yesterday. It's big.
It's like 4 million a year.
Well, no, not quite that yet, but
Net 4 million.
well, what's funny is I go to pull up to our house and my boyfriend's mom like parked in the middle of like this gap on the street where both cars could fit. She parked in the middle and I'm like, you know what, this is it. like I want to have my own house, my own space. So
I know.
yeah, so next year, gonna have a new house.
All right, there you go.
Like we are going this weekend to look at the different new build communities
There you go.
happening. Although I do have a bunch of questions on like how it works as far as like, 'cause I know earnest money is gonna be deposited because I mean I saw the whole process last year. But I'm like, as a real estate agent, I'm like, how does that work? Cause it's like, I mean, don't technically know what my income's gonna be, but I know like I'll be able to afford the down payment come next year when the house is built, but.
So, yeah,
Just
you'll need to talk with a lender, like, find, you can talk to a couple different ones, and
Okay.
there's guidelines. I mean, they change, but so what they'll do is they'll look at. You have to have at least 2 years in the same industry
Oh, okay.
for them to look at your income. So if you're not, and it's your boyfriend, they might just look at his income and think, well, you're not based off of his
Okay.
income. You can still be on the title of the house.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll eventually contribute to the down payment, but, yeah, because, I mean, he's making like 50 to 60,000, well, he's in the training
Hello, this is
program
Michael
now.
with Cullen's Real Estate.
Okay,
Just
right,
wanted to
it'll be
make
like
sure that
60,000 a year.
your sales office at the Canyons and Castle
yeah,
Pines was going to be open today. You could give me a call, please, 303-356-8282, 303-356-8282.
He has like a almost 800.
Yeah, then you'd probably be up to 500 right now.
Okay.
With that income and that credit score. Really?
Just
Because
give money
interest
away.
rates, well, yeah,
Shoo!
yeah, and interest rates are so low, so
I
that
mean-
payment is not.
We're just looking for a new one that's like starts at like 550. And then our budget's like 650 because we wanna upgrade the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Like, because we'll probably be there until I get my more dream home that's like for
Right, there you go.
Nowadays, some of these builders around here, like, they don't include anything.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, I know, it's ridiculous, like, his parents last year, they got new builds, but it was like a regular move-in, things were already paid, and it's just as crap. I mean, like, they did upgrade it, but there's still things where I'm like, are you, like, really, like, this is what you put in, like, they said this is the upgraded carpet pad. I know everything about carpet, I'm like, this is literally the basic carpet pad that Home Depot sells, and this carpet is what they sell in stock at Home Depot, that's 90 cents a square
Well,
foot.
even I went to Taylor Morrison and they wanted to charge you as an upgrade just to put an HVAC system in the house. It was
Okay.
an 11 grand upgrade.
Yeah, like AC, like the seller was like, yeah, and you know, what, I'll just throw in the AC for you guys. And we're like, wait, AC doesn't come with it?
Yeah, no, like they just nickel and dime you. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's like, they don't even come with an attic fan. Literally, my aunt and uncle in their slightly older neighborhood has an attic fan, and you open up the windows, turn that thing on for 2 minutes, and it's freezing. It is so cool.
I miss the builders in Utah. They were really awesome. They included so many things, and then you could tell, like, you know, nowadays, like if it was becoming popular that everybody would upgrade, then they would start to include it, you know? So then really, your upgrades were like 40 grand, you know what I mean? Versus, you know, now here, your upgrades are like 200,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
Look
they're
at that, like Taylor Morrison. Yeah, then they'll be like, oh, well, that house doesn't fit on this lot, so we have to do this upgrade a lot, that's like 120K upgrade. So
Yeah, his parents did Century Communities, and
I haven't seen Century yet, but I mean, you could see their end result, like with their spec homes, they're gonna probably, you know, nickel and dime you to get to where their spec homes are. Because that's their idea of like what that area is going for. Like with that Taylor Morrison that I went to that Macanta area or whatever. And, you know, all their homes are ending around like 950, you know, or 850 to, you know, $1 million.
Right.
And you
So
know, this
that's
is Michael with
their
Keller
end
Williams. How are you?
range. Like 9 or 850 would be like the lower. And that's what
Just
you have
wanted to make
expect.
sure your sales office at the Canyons is open.
You know, so if you see like their spec homes, they can have available, you know.
yeah. But whenever I get my next home, I'm gonna do it as like a custom built, and it's not gonna be like a master plan community.
Perfect.
And
And I don't even
I
know
love the home,
when
it's
it's
like
going.
the yards are big there, like they're not like
Yeah.
sniffing each other.
I know, same thing.
Sounds
Utah,
good. Thank you.
they're like, what's an HOA? Because so,
No, that's fine.
like, they don't do that. Like, you get in the community and then you have an HOA usually just while you're building it. And then once the community is built and it's done, then they install it in HOA. You know, so, and it'll be like $10 a month. Really like, you know, make sure that you're not blocking the road for them
Thank you.
to get like the building trucks, like, you know, the concrete trucks, delivery drivers, like, you know.
When
Stuff like that.
Crystals won't answer my call or call me back after
The one plus side I see getting from builders that they appreciate really bad.
Depends,
Stalker.
you know,
Yep.
it depends really, I mean.
Yep, that's
you
what
look at, like,
happens.
our
How do you
house
do
right
it?
now, So like to
Like,
build
oh,
our house that we
hi,
have right now.
how are
I mean,
you? I just thought I'd
would
call you
be
from my
like
office
150
line.
grand more
Sorry,
than
I
we
missed
paid for it, you know what I'm
you
saying?
the other day.
But,
Mhm.
or I'm sorry,
He didn't seem like the type of guy that.
more than I paid for it.
Well,
Versus,
yeah, really.
you know, we bought it. and
What's
then,
the
I mean,
address?
it's
Do you
only
have
been
like a
8
serial
months
killer
or something like
place?
that, so it
Because
is. But
there's
you
a-
put like
Um,
ceramic flooring,
It's
and
not
then,
the address on
put
Hillsborough.
all new light fixtures, all
He
the
already
door
sold
handles, painted,
His house.
you know, so it looks like a brand new
And
house
then
right
we
now.
got into this whole
Like the only thing
conversation
extra
about,
right now that I wanna do
make
is
a
like
long
maybe
story
put
short,
new tile in the back, like redo the
lives in
showers.
Walden,
With
but
new
sold
tile,
the
because I
house
don't
in
want the tile
Aurora
I chose.
because he had
And
two
then
jobs in
possibly
Aurora.
new like vanities in the
Got
bathrooms, which could
moved
also be pretty
with
inexpensive as
work.
well. Depending on
So,
what, or even
he
just
sold his
replace
house
it,
in
not
Aurora.
have, you know, but
well,
I mean,
that's when I
sometimes that-
changed it
that'd
to,
be like
have you
maybe,
ever thought of using that money into
like, if you do the work yourself or you hire somebody out, maybe like
investment
15 grand.
property? And he's like, yeah,
And then,
so.
and then maybe like shutters, so it could be another like 5 grand, you know, so you're looking at like maybe another 20, and then maybe back out. We have this like land above us that's behind us, as long as like a retaining wall, and then we have like a quarter acre here that is not accessible right now, so. Like some people put like stairs and then it's like, you know, we put like decks up there, so that would be another like maybe 40 grand, but still 60 grand. Like an 80, you know, like the 20 that we already put, or 25, you know, like 25 grand into it versus
Right.
250 to build it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just
Before.
depends on where and what.
You
you're
get a
looking
little
for
bit
as well.
Mhm.
And if you want to do any work. You know, I'm keeping myself, because when we were
Yeah.
looking, there was this
You're
one
doing a
house
one-on-one with
that
Crystal?
had like the space that we wanted,
Oh.
but like, I was like,
Not
I
your-
have to do the whole kitchen, all the floors everywhere,
Bring her over
repaint
to
inside
that
and out, all the bathrooms, like, it was like a bigger project
Mhm.
than just paint doorknobs, light fixtures. And, you know, whenever we were looking at it, we could have got it for like X amount, and then it re-entered the
Well,
market.
boss,
when
wrap
they
it up
took
with
off
our
the
house,
market
let's
because
go.
it wasn't selling, because again, different market like 8 months ago. So,
Tell
but
Britt to wrap it up.
then they put it back on the market like in January, February, sold 140 more units
Okay.
out of there. I'm like, what? And that was exactly in the same state that it was. I'm like, dude, it would have been like 60, 80 grand, maybe of like, you know.
I wanted to make sure that
You
your
have-
prestige collection at Skyline Ridge
But,
was open.
construction stuff, and I'm like kicking myself because I'm like, that could have been, you know, just add those upgrades, like it would have just been easier to do now. Just the size, location, and all that stuff, it would have even been that's like pretty close to $1 million now.
Wow,
With
yeah.
all that stuff,
Yeah, like,
if we would have redone it, you know.
that'd be awesome. But like, yeah, my kind of logic, I guess, is like, when you build is that.
I'll just
You can
close
lock in
this.
the price now, as we become in this money, where if we wait until next year, when I finally have money for a down payment and bought like an existing house, it's gonna be like even more expensive.
Why don't you buy a house that needs work and put the work into it, into making it what you want it?
That's what I was
Well,
just
then,
telling her, the
yeah.
difference, like, if we were to build our house versus like what we bought it for and what we put into it, we paid like 120
Yeah.
you know, grand less than.
Yep.
what it
But
would-
I would have less time for leach in.
Oh, whatever.
Well, you can use those contacts when you're listed. and
Exactly,
start
that's
building
how
that
you
up.
start building out contacts
Yeah.
to make your,
Speaking of, I should reach out to our floor guy, you know, because I could
There's
totally,
no.
he refers me people to like, sell it, and refer people to like, be like, hey, this house needs new flooring.
that's a,
Hey, call my guy, he'll give you a great deal.
that's a big conversation to have with people. I think you kind of talked, did we talk about that in here?
Yeah, I finally did post the Facebook, but I'm not sure, like, I'm like, I need to make sure that I was trying to make like a thing with like my face and like the Keller Williams thing, and then I went and looked at the logos, and then there's like some sort of compliance that you have to like make sure that like, I'm like, that's too confusing, so I'll show my picture.
Like, double check with Donna. Honestly, it's not even as confusing as it makes it sound when you look at all of that.
I'm
stuff.
not
I
very,
want a
like,
big
tech
head or a
savvy.
fat head, or what are they called?
Oh, the
Of myself.
bobblehead.
You know, no, like the signs,
Oh.
and you can like stick them on things or like get them on a stick.
Oh.
Do you want to finish? Oh, okay. Who's here at home?
I'm here. Brent,
Right? Brent?
I'm here.
Were you the only one today?
No, that was Brent, Scott, and Troy.
Okay.
No,
Oh, where's
yeah, Scott's
Troy?
here.
Troy.
Scott's here. I'm on.
Every time.
Yep.
Hi, Troy.
Hey, guys, sorry, internet related issues and all the life. Good to see you guys.
All of this.
That's kind of the annoying thing about Zoom. I'm just like, stuff's just in the way.
Where is my? I don't like this. That's gonna bother me. It's fine. I won't look at it. Okay. So. Turn to page 9. 6. What's that? Number 6. Number 5. Oh, okay, so recap. Yeah. Wait, you're on, oh no, we did AHAs. Is this backwards? So it's kind of weird. Do you do AHAs?
He was on his own flow and it worked perfectly.
Well, there was
Well,
another
very
page that said,
informative,
okay,
and,
hold on.
we learned a lot.
You're on your own flow. Fill me in. I'm looking, I can't because that thing is, I have OCD, that's annoying. Okay. So you guys did accountability. Okay, so then let's talk about AHAs from today. So you said it sounded, so Michael's been on his own flow and it's worked really well. So what did you guys glean from him today? And everybody at home too. You guys can hear me when I'm here, right? I don't think we have.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Michael's voice is louder. Just kidding, it's quieter. AHAs, what did you write down on your blue sheets?
We gotta shoot higher for our income goals to actually get what our personal goals are.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
So say like I want $130,000 down payment. Well, I need to really achieve probably like twice that after expenses to actually get down to the 130 for next year.
So your net versus your gross and
All
the
the
extras and all of that stuff, okay? Do you think that, I think you're a pretty big dreamer, wouldn't you say?
oh yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of people though aren't dreaming big enough a lot of times. Would you agree with that? I think that when I first came into real estate, I was like not recognizing how big I could dream and how big I could make things. And so I really like to hear you say that because why not double your goal?
Mhm.
And then the next year, double that and keep going.
Yeah.
What else from anyone else?
The 411 worksheet, how you talked about what you want in a year, and then break it down by month, and then break it down by your 4 weeks.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go home and put that on my board, because if I can look at it and go, oh, it's already Thursday and I haven't done all this, I need to do it
Yeah.
before it comes up to next week.
Yep. And the 411, like I said, so I think that's a great tool. And like I was saying, it works for me and I like a different type of visual timeline. And so it's like, you can do different things with those tools to make them work better for you. If you're looking at something the way that it's laid out and it doesn't make sense for you and it's like, oh, cool, I just wrote a bunch of stuff down and you want to change the way that it's laid out so that it makes it click more in your mind. You know what I mean? Like there's different ways of doing that stuff. What about Scott and Troy and Brent?
Yeah, this is Scott. I got keeping track, keeps you on track. I like that one.
Did that come up before I got here or? That's a good one. That's actually a really good one because if you don't know what you've been doing, you don't know what's working and what's not working. Okay, so anything else? You guys said that it was great and I only got 3 shares. It's 50% though.
I like the keeping track. For me, it's working a full-time job is going to be being held accountable. So that'll
Yeah,
be a big one for me.
yep. And being, like you said, so a lot of you, or some of you guys are working full-time jobs, some of you are full-time in real estate, but either way, there's always gonna be stuff that comes up. And you have to figure out how to work around it. Like Michael said too, or like we were talking about, there's always something that's gonna wanna distract you from your lead gen, and you have to stay on top of it no matter what.
Exactly. That time blocking is really going to come in handy.
How did you guys do with your contacts and your notes and stuff this week so far? Did you talk about that? Have you guys done any thank you cards, gratitudes, anything like that? What was your experience around that? Like, was it something that made you feel good about the day? What time of day did you do it? Did you guys do like a journal, kind of like we talked about? Any shares around those?
I mean, I just kind of remembered how it made me feel. I don't journal, but
That's okay. Just a suggestion.
yeah. But when I was writing mine, I actually hadn't done my thank you card for people who sent me like money as like a graduation gift,
Mhm.
just because I've just been so busy learning real estate. But I really like how, I mean, making it actually a scheduled thing, it made me trying to do it. And I was able to send out those cards, and because that it not only made me feel good, but it really made me feel good because I know that they would appreciate it.
Mhm. Yep. And once they actually get them in the mail,
Yeah.
and once you, I mean, even just to say thank you for random things, people are extremely appreciative of it.
Yeah, and I got cards from King Super. They're super cute. But there's some that say have like thank you, and some are like just a picture or something, like a starfish. And I figured I could just write like notes of like how I'm just thinking of you today.
Yeah.
I hope things are going well with your family. Like, and that's where I'm gonna like write stuff in their description so I know like what to say to that.
Those are big. Handwritten notes of any kind end up being just a big deal for people, because that's the way that we used to communicate back in the day. And it's, I'm just facing a weird direction. Back in the day. No, that's not what I meant. But I'm saying it's kind of one of those things that what was old is new again, and it's something that people now appreciate. Just like back when we all used to hate going into the office, and we were like, oh my gosh, we're so happy that we get to stay home now. And then everybody got sick of staying home, and now being in person with people is something that was old, it was something of the past for a while, and now it's exciting and fun to do it again.
Yeah. You mentioned giving, like, if they have kids, like getting a $2 bill, but then I thought even further with that is getting $1 million bill. Because then, I mean, as a kid, like that makes the kids like think, whoa, $1 million, and then it makes them think bigger.
And you just let them down. They're like, wait, I can't spend this.
Yeah,
She
what
just
is
gave me
this?
$1 million, Mom. I want that trampoline.
Yeah. Why
When they're
is that
saying,
moment?
it's immigration money for these unrealistic
They're so
expectations.
cool.
I know.
So cool.
That's what they do at, what is the restaurant? Ted's Montana Grill. They don't have $1 bills, they only have $2 bills, and that's part of their marketing tactic. Is because people don't have, you have $2 bills very often. And so then when people see them, they're like, oh, I got them from Ted's. So if you had something like that you gave to people that was like, it's gonna cause,
$2 bills.
what's that?
So I was in the hair industry for a long time, and sometimes, the old guys, they come and be like, here's a $2 bill. And I'm like, seriously?
Thank you. It's
I'm
a
like,
sign of
"Can I just change this
prosperity.
in?" But that's actually a lot of them make money. Like a lot of the $2 bills are worth like $20 because they misprint, or depending on the number. I didn't know this, but a girl I worked with would be like, oh, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And she would like collect all these stacks of $2 bills. So, it was just traded for her.
They do, they've got the ones that have the red on them, and it's a sign of prosperity and luck in Mexico. Oh, so anyway. Okay, so then how about home previews? Did anybody preview a home this week?
I'm doing one after this.
I mean, I'm kind of sort of this weekend, but it's also for personal.
What about guys at home? Have you guys previewed anything this week so far?
I previewed one, and really just to go and take a look for myself, but Also, I've got a kind of a client on the line that I'm trying to put together a good presentation for them for a buyer's presentation, and I want to take a look at some of the houses in my neighborhood area.
Yep, well, and remember kind of what we talked about on Tuesday, that it makes you more of the expert when you know exactly what's going on, and you can even, you know, especially in a neighborhood. that
Totally.
What's that?
Totally. No,
Yeah.
totally. And, you know, after my transaction closes on next week, Tuesday, you know, those are things I keep thinking about is, you know, what are stuff that I saw when I went in and I mean, we looked at a million different houses, I feel like,
Yep.
as we tried to get this thing to go. But I can also now point out what is a professionally, you know, staged house, what is a house that's being done by an actual real estate agent, not, you know, Zillow or Reddit or one of these other fly by night kind of, you know, we'll give you $20 to put it on the MLS thing. It just works out well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, and that, you know, that's another thing is when you're trying to get a listing, or if you're working with a for sale by owner that is on the fence or something of that, you know, something of that nature, preview those homes all in their neighborhood, all around them, because then you can, you know, if you're the one that says, oh yeah, I've been inside, I've been in that house, I've seen that one. That one's, it looks great on the pictures, but it's not as cool. It's not as great as the pictures make it seem, or, oh, that one's way better than, you know, whatever. You can at least have a compare and contrast with them in terms of how it reflects on their property. And it just makes you look more like the expert. So then who is going to, do you think, I mean, I know we had 10 home previews per week, so we'll have 10 of them by Tuesday then for everybody? Is that what we're
I went and
on
saw
track
6
for?
models, and then JC assigned us to go, because he gave us his like buyer's presentation. And so he wants us to like give a mock buyer's presentation to a friend or family.
Oh,
and
good.
Take them to see 6 houses, and like, he shows how to map it all out on the MLS, but by Tuesday as well.
Nice. So, well, that's great to practice your buyer presentation with family and friends. Yeah, that's a big one. Okay, so then we're gonna jump into scripts today again. What did you guys practice yesterday?
He actually sent us the scripts, which is awesome, the PDF.
Yeah, you did. Michael's great.
Why you gotta be like that?
I didn't print any of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna just read them off of my computer.
Oh yeah, I have it on my phone.
Yeah.
I know, he actually had him call up Bispo, and he got like a.
I know, I got a really excited text message
I'm
yesterday,
happy.
so we're gonna follow up with them. So is anybody else working with Bizos?
I want to.
So do you wanna call?
someday.
I'm not prepared yet.
What?
I
Who's
do
that?
want to read more scripts, but
Heather, you're gonna call some today?
after I get through reading some scripts.
Okay,
No,
so
I
do
just
you,
like want to make sure like I know exactly how to object, because I don't want to like, oh, how to respond to objections. I don't want to like like I'm running in circles.
so if you have your scripts in front of you, hold on, I'm gonna go get my book. What types of calls is everybody else making? Just Sphere calls? Is anybody calling like anyone else in particular outside of Bisbo and Sphere? No. Okay, I'll be right back. Call a script that they can start with since you're still here. I appreciate you. I'll give it back.
I love the sass.
Who's the seller? Who's the agent? Bisbo call. Crystal's the agent. Heather's the seller.
Okay, can I pull up my script real quick? Here, let me. That way I have something to kind of just play around with. 'Cause I don't wanna practice bad. Well, I'm probably gonna practice bad, so we can do that together. How about that? I always learned that with like violin.
No, you don't practice that.
I wasn't gonna bring these, but I figured I would because there's no objection that can't be handled. Okay,
Gosh.
for a visual effect, and it's true. Okay, so why don't you, do you want to, Jimmy? Do you want to be the agent and I'll be the FISBO guy?
You just assign them,
Oh, yeah, we're gonna go for it.
no, I'm just saying, I just want to.
I'm just pulling up my, because I don't want to practice bad and like not.
Practice
sound
is
good.
practice. You can practice.
Scrape your face on the pavement. That's what practice is for.
All right, I'm about to ring the phone. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello, how are you? I'm
The
not
app
ready
is
yet.
set.
Wait, you're the Heather,
We're the
the agent?
opposite.
I'm the agent. Oh, she's the
Oh,
agent.
Yeah.
oh,
We did the app. as
I heard
yesterday.
seller and I heard seller agent in my head. Oh.
Okay, so you're the seller.
Okay,
We'll go.
okay, I can do this now.
Okay, ring, ring, ring. It's easier to be you than it is.
Yeah.
me.
Hi.
Hi, this is Crystal with Crystal Green with Keller Williams. How are you doing?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
Good. I was just reaching out. I noticed that you have a house for sale, sale by owner. And I wonder if you have a few minutes to speak with me.
Yeah, sure. I can take a little bit.
What made you decide to list your home by yourself?
Well, I just figured that homes are flying off the market. And I figured if I just at least get it put onto Zillow, then maybe people would see it. And then I wouldn't have to worry about the commission fee.
Absolutely. I understand being able to get your listing out there to kind of start recruiting people. That's exactly what I actually do is market it for you. So it takes time off of your plate to be able to contact leads and generate new leads for you. God, guys, I'm stuck. Is there any way that I can start off by providing you an opportunity to at least sit down with me and go over maybe some things that I might be able to offer you and the support I can offer you and to recruit more leads for your home?
I suppose. I mean, I haven't really even given consideration to an agent, but I mean, I guess if the information's fits what I'm looking for, I suppose it would be fine.
Okay, how does tomorrow afternoon sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. How about, let's see, Jamie, have you gotten practice any physical, like?
No, I practiced with, I was like the for sale by owner,
You were the first sale by owner, but
but not the agent.
do you want to be the agent and I'll be the first sale by owner?
Sure. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Jamie with Keller Williams, and I was noticing that you had a for sale by owner. Is that right?
Yep, it's for sale.
Is it still available?
Yep, we're still listed.
Yeah. How long has it been on the market for?
Only like 4 days.
Oh, wow, 4 days. Did you know that in this market, that's actually quite a long time? Have you had any other activity?
Oh, I've had tons of calls so far.
This is why I'm a one person.
You're good.
Well, that's amazing. Did you know that, or what made you decide to list it for sale by owner?
It's just, like you said, the market's moving fast right now, and I don't really think that I need to pay an agent because we saw somebody that was actually in the neighborhood across Holly, and he had his house for sale by owner, and it went under the market, it went under contract. I don't know, probably in about 2 weeks.
Okay, I completely understand that. That's, a great valid point you have there. Did you know that actually, the only people that are seeing your house are the people that are driving by or the people that are actively looking like into Zillow or the third market, parties that you listed it under?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen though that, most people buy a house from, the internet anyway. Most people are looking online. They're not really looking anywhere else. So I figured I've got it online. Everyone will see it.
Yeah, well, actually, I actually have a bunch of buyers and a huge team of people that also have buyers that are actually looking for, what you have available, but they're not able to see it because it's not in our system. So, how about I come over to your house, if you're available tomorrow at 3, and then we can take a look and I can tell you what I have to offer you.
We've only been listed for 4 days. I think we'll wait a little bit longer probably before we explore hiring an agent.
Yeah, I completely understand that. And also with that, because that only 12 or that for sale by owners only generate 12 to 20% of the actual, income on their property that listing by an agent does.
Yeah, so, okay, yes. So the script on that one is,
I didn't read the script. I
No,
just heard some pieces.
you're good. I said it. So, and so I don't have it in an actual script anywhere, but write it down like for yourself if you're gonna call it for sale by owner and just have a few different things because it's like they can say 1,000,001 different things. And if they're saying no, they're just saying no right now. They're not saying no forever. They'll come, eventually they're gonna come around. One of the biggest things is, so like this one here, let's see here. If you had a qualified buyer willing to pay a price acceptable to you, would you accept the offer from my company, through my company? They're gonna say yeah, or maybe. Awesome. Where are you guys moving to? And that's, so one of the biggest things with for sale by owners too, is just getting them to talk, just talking to them about where they're going, why they're selling, why they're, you know what I mean? Because if you get to the motivation behind it, that's the part that you can then, go back to and tie them down on as you're moving through trying to get them there, you know what I mean? And that script that I have, or that I use, like I said, is kind of from the beginning. Hey, you be the guy.
I'd be the physical.
You be the first LA owner.
Okay.
Okay, ring ring.
Hello,
Hi, I'm looking for the owner of 123 Main Street.
this is him.
Hi, I didn't get your name.
My name is Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy. This is Britt with Keller Williams. How are you today?
How are you doing?
Good. So I saw you've got your house for sale by owner. I saw it on Zillow. So I'm sure that you've gotten a call from, 500 other agents like myself so far.
I have. I get probably about 6 a day.
Awesome. 6 a day. So with 6 calls per day from agents, are you getting any actual showing traffic?
I've had some agents ask for a preview, and they come by and look at it.
So just mostly previews, not actual showings.
But
Okay, awesome. Can I ask, how long do you plan to try to sell your house before you list with an agent?
well, we're really not looking to move for maybe about 60 days. So we're just trying to put on the market and see what we can get for it.
Okay, so what happens after 60 days if you don't have a buyer?
I don't know. I kind of figured that it would go within the first 30, so.
Sure. No, I absolutely, things are moving quick, so, hopefully you would get an offer in 30 days. Can I ask, I see you're listed for 575. Where did you come up with that price?
Our neighbor across the street just sold theirs, and they got 560 for it, so.
Okay, sounds good. And then can I just ask why you decided to list with no agent?
Just trying to not have to pay any commissions or anything like that.
So here's where it is. When they say the commission or they say that they want to save money. Okay, awesome. Everybody wants to save money. I like to save money too. Who doesn't, right? So I totally get that. Are you aware that homes for sale by owner homes, while they are selling quicker now than they were, before we got this crazy market going, they're still selling for anywhere from 12 to 20% less than homes listed with an agent on the MLS?
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, they definitely are, like I said, moving faster, but still at a much lower price point. So I guess the biggest thing that we can attribute that to is, you know, when you're trying to sell a house, you want to get as many eyes on it as possible, right?
Yeah.
And getting as many eyes on it as possible is going to give you the, you know, it gives you the upper hand, because now you have all of these people who are seeing it, all of these people who are seeing that other people want it. And then those are the things that naturally drive up prices, right? You get into these bidding wars.
Okay,
So if you're only listed on Zillow and ForSaleByOwner.com, you're missing out on about 96% of the buyer population. Right, so that's the, I mean, he's kind of like, if he's a real seller who really wants to move in 60 days, and you're like, what happens after 60 days? I don't know. You're still missing out on 98% of the buyer population, and you want $15,000 more than your neighbors sold for. Where's that going to come from? Like, you ask them these questions and then you drop these little fact bombs and then they self-realize and they're like, oh, how, you know, you're right, that doesn't really make sense. And then you get in there with the close of, you know, there's a lot of different ways, you know, like this one I really like, just out of curiosity, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 meaning you're really serious about selling your property and 1 meaning you're just testing the waters with the market, where would you rate yourself?
I'm just seeing how much I can get for my house. I want to get the most I can.
In 60 days?
Yeah,
Okay, so let's say 30 days from now, you've got 30 days left on that timeline. Where do you think you're at on the scale of 1 to 10?
probably wanting to sell it a little bit
Sure,
quicker.
sure. So if you sit on the market at 575 for 30 days without any offers, what are the chances that someone's going to come to you after 30 days, knowing you've been sitting there for that long and offering you full price?
Probably nil.
Not very good. I mean, if you as a buyer, you're going out looking at houses and you see one that's been sitting there for a long time, what do you think to yourself?
And going for a cheaper price.
Right. That's what everybody else is thinking. So those types of things. And closing for the appointment, you know, you ask 3 times. You try to get them there 3 times before they say F off or hang up the phone or say yes. And they're not going to remember who you are. They're not going to remember your name. Still, even if you close the appointment, you're going to be like, they're probably forgot your name by the time, you know, they're, oh, okay, yeah, cool, we'll see you tomorrow. What's your name again? But anyway, those are, I mean, I think that for sale by owners are a really, really good strategy to work with in this market, because they're so far behind on their real estate knowledge from where we are. And I mean, yeah, the market's moving really fast right now, but guess what? It has significantly slowed down. We're in slow season now. And like, everybody's pumping the brakes. We're still seeing, you know, I would say on closer to the edges and just outside of the Metro Denver area, it's still moving pretty fast because there's that ripple effect. It's like what happens in Denver and then it goes out. And then once it stops in Denver, then it kind of stops gradually outward, if that makes sense. So they're still seeing, you know, crazy multiple offer situations up in Fort Collins and Windsor and all of those places. But here, we're not moving at the, you know, 20 to 40 offer pace. We're at closer to maybe 5 or 10 in that average price point. So that's another thing that you could have a conversation with them about too. Hey, yeah, things are moving really quick. Did you also know that we're headed into slow season and that we're really seeing a decline? I mean, I guarantee every single one of you guys could go get a listing in the next week from a for sale by owner. You guys could tag team it. One of you call a for sale by, and then you guys can co-list it. One of you call the for sale by owner, figure out what the objections are. Then the next, you guys talk about it. Then the next one calls them. Hey, knowing what the objections are, you know what I mean? There's a ton of different ways to go about it. And a for sale by owner is already there, like they just need a little bit of an extra push. And another thing is depending on where they're listed, you make them a net sheet. If you don't want to call them, make them a net sheet based on what you think that you could sell their house for realistically, what they, after they would pay you in commission and pay the other agent in commission, and take it to them and be like, hey, here's what I think that you could walk away with after listing with an agent. What does that sound like for you as opposed to what you thought you could walk away with doing it yourself? And then, oh, you know, that's great, but if we do it ourselves, we'll walk away with this. Well, you still have to pay 2.8 to 3% to the buyer's agent. Did you know that? Okay, now we're really only talking about that 3%. But if you don't get a home sold in the first week, the chances of it going for list price aren't really, it's not really gonna happen. I don't know, these are all things that, and again, this isn't just for sell by owners, you know, it is, but you can also kind of use these things when working with other sellers too, because everyone thinks their house is worth more than everybody else knows that it is, you know? Okay, what else? Is there anything, like any script that we could run through, anything that we could practice that would make you guys feel like anything that you're up against right now that you're worried about with phone calls or anything like that?
Maybe an expired.
An expired?
I'd like to start calling
Yeah,
expired.
that too. Expireds, especially right now. You call the expireds from last year. That's the strategy. All right, are you guys at home still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
Yep, I'm still here.
okay. Did anybody get kicked out? Okay, I think we're good. Anyway, okay. So calling it for sale by owner or calling an expired, who wants to be the expired agent? I'll be the agent. Somebody be the expired seller, and then I'll have two of you guys do it after the first time. Anyone at home?
I'll do it.
Who's that?
Troy will do it. That's Troy.
Troy. Okay, so you're the expired seller. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, ring ring.
Hello,
Hi, is this Troy?
this is,
Hi, Troy. This is Britt with KW. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, thanks. How are you?
Good. I saw that you had your house on the market. It looks like May of 2020, and it looks like it never sold. Is that right?
That's correct. It did not sell. You know, the pandemic and everything else. I had it up. I thought things could go, and then nobody was looking at houses. Nobody was going anywhere, so it was kind of decided to take it off at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask, I mean, you know, I know that it didn't sell for you, but when you guys decided to sell, what were your plans? Where are you guys planning on going?
You know, we were planning on downsizing. Kids have left the house. The big house is just getting to be a little too much for me and my wife. And, you know, I was thinking we'd downsize, try to find either a smaller house or a condo situation or a townhouse situation. But, you know, we also have the availability that we don't need to do that right away. So I was kind of hoping that looking at the market and things and seeing how, you know, stuff could just, I don't know, tame down a little bit or get to a spot where I felt more comfortable with looking for something to buy and also looking to be able to put the house back up on the market.
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like you had it listed at 600 last year. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
So I just kind of was looking around. We've got a little bit of a shortage of inventory right now. I'm sure you've heard, and I've got buyers that are really interested in being in that neighborhood. Did you know that the average price point in your neighborhood this year is about $725?
No, I didn't know that at all. Oh,
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's up quite a bit from where you guys were listed at. So I'm just curious if we brought you somebody that would pay $725 for your house today, would you take that?
Oh yeah, Well, I would if I could make sure, really, you mentioned the inventory problem. I would if I could make sure I could find, a suitable place for us to move to, that would still be able to, net us maybe a little bit of extra income off the equity of the house, and then not have to go, back underneath another, 15 to 30-year mortgage on a condo.
Troy, did you know that you can purchase a house with a reverse mortgage?
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's an option for you and your wife, but that's something that I'd be happy to kind of go through with you. Because it sounds like that might be an option that would work well for you guys. And then you just keep the cash from the, the sale of your current home. Tell you what, I'm going to be in your neighborhood tomorrow at 2:00. Would you have time if I stopped by to just kind of run through some of those things? I can bring you some information on reverse mortgage purchases. And we could even just take a look real quick and see what's on the MLS. If there's anything that you're interested or that might seem like a good fit for you to buy. And then, I could at least just see the house and get a feel for it and see if your house might be a good fit for my buyers. Because they're pre-qualified, they definitely be able to pay that $725.
Great. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sounds good. Well, I will see you tomorrow at 2:00 then.
Sounds great. Thanks, Britt.
Thanks, Troy. Okay, so there's, tons of answers for that stuff. And last year when they had their house listed for 600, like I said, this year it's worth way more. And people are like, what? They don't know what to do with that. Okay, so who wants to be the Troy, where'd you go?
Said bye, see you
You said
later.
bye.
That's why I was laughing, because I'm like, oh, he actually hung up.
Troy, did you hang up because you thought we were done with the conversation?
No, I pulled my earbud out and itched my ear, and the dumb thing went off. So I don't know. You think I'd be more technologically literate than that?
That's okay. Okay, so who wants to be the agent this time?
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Might be a little messy, but start somewhere.
Okay, who wants to be the seller?
I will.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
talk loud enough that everybody can hear.
Okay. Ring ring.
Hello,
Hi, is this the owner of 123 Main Street?
it is.
Well, that's great. Could I get your name?
My name is Jimmy.
Well, hi Jimmy, this is Heather. I'm with Keller Williams, and I noticed that you had your home for sale back in like last June. Is that right?
I did.
Yeah. So, kind of, what was your reason for listing it then?
We were just, we were thinking about maybe moving.
Okay.
And so we put it on the market with an agent, and we had a couple showings, but nothing near what we were asking for.
What were you asking for? Mind if I ask?
We were asking 600.
Wow, that's really interesting because, I was doing some analysis of that neighborhood, and I saw that right now homes are listing for 700, which is obviously over what you were asking back then. If I could take some time with you and talk with you further about, how I can help you get more for the money that you put in initially in that house, would that sound good?
I would have to talk to my wife, but yeah.
Well, why don't you go ahead and talk to your wife, and I'll give you a call back later this evening to see if, what she was kind of thinking.
Okay.
Sounds good. But do you know if you guys have any time in the next couple days?
We have time tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, tomorrow's even better. I'd love to talk with you sooner.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you. You have a great day, okay? And tell your wife I said hi.
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the things too is that's another one that pre-qualifying before you go over there, you should always ask them. Okay, cool. So if we were to set up a meeting, Is it just you? Are you the decision maker in the house? Do you have a spouse or, you know, someone else that lives there
Right.
that's gotta be the one making decisions with you that needs to be at the meeting? Yes, no, whatever. Or when you get the wife, you know, I gotta talk to my wife or I gotta talk to my husband, but you know, that sounds good. You know, okay, that's great. I totally get it. I would never make I'm not married, but I would never make a decision without, you know, consulting my husband first or my spouse first or whatever. So I totally get that. And, you know, I know you guys are busy. I'm definitely busy too. I don't want to miss out on the opportunity for us to get together and talk about this. So how about I put you on the schedule for, you know, does 4 o'clock tonight work or 5 o'clock tomorrow? And you can talk to your wife, and then if anything changes, you just give me a call back.
Yeah, you know, I've actually used that for getting measures at Home Depot where it's like, I would be, well, you know what, like, let's go ahead and getting through the measure process. That way you don't have to do this later since you're already here.
Yep.
And then, yeah, if it doesn't work out, just give me a call and we can reschedule.
Yep, exactly. So just like scheduling the appointment is gonna be the biggest
Yeah.
thing. What else? Does anybody else want to try on the expired, or does anybody else have any other scripts that you would want a little bit of help with maybe?
Oh, here, let's look on here. Now, say like we get to the listing appointment, what kind of objections like do you see sometimes in that appointment?
Commission will be one. So
Okay.
like definitely when you go to a for sale by owner, you, like I said, you work through a net sheet with them. You don't have to charge a full 6%, and I wouldn't recommend reducing your commission. Like I mean, you can go in there and tell them that you'll do it for 5 and then you take 2% and then you know, the other takes 3, or you know, you get 2.2% and they get 2.8 on the buy side. But a lot of times they just don't understand how those commission splits work and where all of that money goes to. So having something kind of laid out, it's like, oh, you know, I mentioned to you that for sale by owners sell anywhere from 12 to 20% less than homes listed on the MLS. And that 8% swing, because what, 8% of, let's call it a $500,000 house is, bear with me, that's like 40, what is it? I gotta know. Calculator, anyone?
I got it. 8% of what?
8% of 500,000.
Yep.
Is it 40?
Yep.
I knew. So no, so okay, so 8% is a pretty big swing, you know, and I know I mentioned it was anywhere from 12 to 20% less. So to solidify, you get that extra full 20%, and we're you know, maxing out your profits. We actually need to put some marketing effort into this and some marketing dollars. And I give my clients the benefit of taking that money, paying that money out of my own pocket. I don't ask for my client to pay it. That's part of where my commission goes to, is my marketing dollars. And then you have your whole entire marketing plan laid out for them. You know, we're going to do flyers. We're going to have Facebook ads being run. We're going to make sure that we get postcard mailers. We're going to have, you know, all of the online syndication. Your house is not just going to be on the MLS. It's going to be on Zillow, Redfin, all of the other, you know, and then we also have what's called an IDX, and that pulls all of the listing information from the MLS, and then it goes out to all of the other brokerages. So those types of things, once they see the breakdown, it's like, you know, this percentage goes to my marketing costs, this percentage goes to the buyer's agent, and then this percentage needs to be set aside for taxes. So really at the end of it, here's what I'm left with. You know, and then they see that your commission isn't actually going to be a full 3.2%. And then they're like, oh, okay. So commission is going to be one of those bigger objections. And then, you know, again, I think one of the other things is knowing the neighborhood. I would absolutely know the neighborhood as best as you can before you go in there, whether you pull something on RE Colorado and start looking at the active and recently sold, or doing those home previews. You could try to find, you know, a place, you could try to find like 2 or 3 FSBOs that are within a certain mile radius. And they're kind of close to each other, but they're not super close to each other. Or if you can find them in the same neighborhood, that's great. And then just, like I said, work that neighborhood, go preview every single house that's in the area between those 3 of them and talk to all 3 of them. If they don't pick up the phone or they don't like you on the phone, go meet them in person, go knock on their door and drop off. I have these FSBO packets, if any of you wants to see them. It's more or less to scare the ever living daylights out of them, because it's like all of the things that you need to sell a house, like all of these different disclosures and all of these different warnings and all of the different ways that you can get sued for selling a house. And it's kind of like, hey, just was in the neighborhood, saw that you had your house for sale by owner, wanted to drop this off for you. I'm on my way to an appointment, so I can't talk right now, but if you have any questions about any of that, feel free to give me a call. And they call every single time. And then they're calling you. So, and if you already called them, like I said, they don't remember. They've had so many phone calls from other agents. So call them, try it out. If they don't want to talk, go drop off the packet. Just get the conversation going, and you already know everything that's going on around them. So that's my spiel on for sale by owners.
And I also just want an idea, like, what if you like call them on like one phone number and then like it's just not good, and then you decided like a day later, try again, you have another phone?
That's what I was
Then do
telling
that.
Jimmy, and on FSBOs and expireds, when I can't, like, if I've already had a conversation with them and I can't get them to talk to me again, when it's like, hey, I'll follow up with you, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, call me later, and then they never answer your phone call, then I call them from my other phone. Before I had my other phone, I would get a Google number. You get a new Google number every single day.
What is that exactly?
You just go to Google Voice or Google whatever. There's tons of text and phone apps. There's tons of text and phone apps that you can get. That'll give you a phone number that you can.
Google Voice is
From the
great. You
office.
can go in.
You're here. Go
Yeah,
borrow
Google
the
Voice is.
phone.
Okay.
What, Troy?
I was just going to say Google Voice is great because
Yeah.
it also shows up. You can also have it show up in your email. You can have it show up on your text messages. It can forward to your phone. It just that system works out really well.
Yep.
To go and have another system for you. It's like having your own little assistant.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and there's a lot of people as new agents that they don't want to use their personal phone number for their business, so they just get a Google Voice number. Yep. But yeah, that's one way to get them to answer the phone again. And then that's what we were just talking about that. And then you're like, oh, hey, it's me. I was trying to call you the other day. I couldn't get a hold of you. So I just wanted to see if I could, I just wanted to try one more time. They're like, oh, hi. And then they feel so guilty that you caught them that they're like, okay, sure, fine. Come over for an appointment. We'll see you soon. Sometimes. I had this one guy that like I said, that's why I asked you if that for sale by owner had a serial killer voice. He legit was like, oh, shoot, sorry, I missed your call. Like, he was very just like, I'm like, this is okay. We'll talk to you later. Have a good time. Yeah, I'm not coming over there. He was just intentionally mean, but okay, cool. So if you guys, so over the weekend, keep going with your contacts, keep going with your, I mean, you guys don't have to, like, make it fun. And I know some of you only have the weekends to work on stuff. I guess nobody in here, you guys are, well, I know you work. And then I know some that are at home have other jobs too. And so make it fun, just being like getting in contact with people, find reasons to meet new people for your contacts. And then, again, making it fun with your thank you cards. That's something that you can always find something to be thankful for and make somebody's day. And the home previews. So maybe try to find, if the for sale by owner thing sounds good to any of you guys, start doing that. Start farming the little area around 1 or 2 FSBOs, or even just 1. It's just, I think, like I said, I guarantee every single person in this class could have a listing by next Friday. So, and that's, anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 in your pocket, depending on the price point. So,
And it's a raffle ticket and a little drawing.
yeah. Mary Tarmino won the listing raffle last week, I think. So, cool. Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up early today. And then we'll see you guys on Tuesday. I don't have anybody else signed up for Tuesday, so it'll most likely be me. And then I think it's me on Tuesday and Thursday, and then I think it's Donna on Friday next week. So you guys let me know if you have any questions, as always. And other than that, have a good weekend, okay?
Thanks,
Right.
Brett. You too.
Thank you.
So-
Are you
Thanks,
coming
guys.
in for your one-on-one? I can't remember. Are you gonna be? So